The ancient beacon burst to life in the cold darkness of space, its crystalline arrays drinking in the light of distant stars. After 3 centuries of silence, its quantum processors began their desperate work. The message was simple, encoded in the most basic patterns that any spacefaring race would understand. Hail Pus. Deep in the glittering capital of the Astra Federation, first speaker Marina stood at her observation window. Her silver skin reflected the soft light of the city below, where millions of her people lived in harmony, or at least they had until 6 months ago. Now the outer colonies were going dark one by one, and the proud civilization that had spread across 1,000 worlds faced the end of everything they had built. "How many did we lose today?" she asked, not turning to face the military officer who had just entered her chamber. "3 more systems," first speaker, Commander Ray answered, his voice heavy. "The harvesters. They're adapting faster than ever. Our shields, our weapons, nothing works for long. They analyze, they adapt, they overcome. We've lost contact with the Centauri sector entirely." Marina closed her eyes. The harvesters, a machine race that lived up to their name, stripping entire worlds of resources, consuming all technology they encountered, and adding it to their ever-growing swarm. The Astra Federation, for all their advanced science and wisdom gathered over millennia, had never faced an enemy like this. "The Council has approved your proposal," she said finally, turning to face the commander. "We're going to activate it." Ray's eyes widened. "The beacon. But first speaker, the risks. We don't even know if they still exist. The dark zone has been silent for 300 years. Yes." Marina walked to the holographic display at the center of the room, waving her hand to bring up a map of known space. A large section of the galaxy was marked in deep red, the forbidden region known as the Dark Zone. But we know the stories. Every child in the Federation learns about the species that dwells there, the race that fought 3 galactic empires at once, and won. The display showed historical footage, grainy and distorted by time. Massive ships of unknown design, utilizing technologies that defied the laws of physics as the Astra understood them. Entire fleets vanishing into artificial singularities, only to appear behind enemy lines. Weapons that didn't just destroy, but seemed to unravel the very fabric of space-time. The Empire of Light, the Quantum Collective, and the Steel Dominion, all at the height of their power, tried to conquer that species' homeworld, Marina continued. None of them exist today. And afterward, this mysterious race simply disappeared, created the Dark Zone, warned everyone to stay away. Ray studied the footage, his professional military mind analyzing the ancient battles. But why would they help us? They chose isolation, created the most heavily fortified border in known space. Every probe we've ever sent there has been destroyed or sent back in pieces. Marina touched the activation crystal hanging from her neck, a small smile crossing her face. "Because we're not sending a probe, we're sending a plea for help. And according to the oldest records, the one thing this species could never ignore was a cry for help from those truly in need." The crystal began to glow as she channeled her energy into it. Across the Federation, similar crystals activated, creating a network of quantum-entangled transmitters. The message would pierce the darkness of space, carrying with it the hopes of an entire civilization. "May the stars have mercy on us if we're wrong," Ray whispered. Marina watched as the message launched, a ripple of energy spreading across the galaxy. "May the stars have mercy on the harvesters if we're right." In the depths of the Dark Zone, on a blue-green planet called Earth, alarms began to sound in deep underground bunkers. Humanity's long vigil was about to end. The galaxy was calling, and this time, they would answer. The deadliest fleet in known space was about to reveal itself, and the harvesters would learn why even the greatest empires feared to tread in human space. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains on Earth, red lights flashed in the command center of the Earth Defense Fleet. Captain James Walker stood before the massive holographic display, watching as the distress signals data streamed across the screen. After 300 years of waiting, someone had finally been desperate enough to call for help. Analysis complete, sir, Lieutenant Anna reported from her station. Her fingers danced across the control panel as she brought up detailed scans. The signal is coming from the Astra Federation. They're under attack by some kind of machine race. Their outer worlds are falling one by one. Walker scratched his beard, studying the tactical displays. The Astra weren't warriors. They were builders, scholars, peaceful explorers who had spread across their section of space without conquering a single world. Their technology was impressive, but they had never needed to turn it toward war. "Show me the enemy," he ordered. The display changed, revealing grainy footage of the machine attackers. Massive ships that looked like metal insects, breaking down entire planets for resources. They moved with perfect precision, adapting to every defense the Astra threw at them. "Interesting," Walker muttered. "They think like machines. Perfect logic, perfect patterns. No imagination." The doors to the command center slid open with a soft hiss. Admiral Reed walked in, his old battle scars visible in the red emergency lighting. All the officers stood straighter as he approached. "At ease," Reed said, joining Walker at the display. "The Council has finished their debate. It's time to wake up the Ghost Fleet." A smile spread across Walker's face. The Ghost Fleet, humanity's masterpiece. For 3 centuries, they had built in secret, learning from the mistakes of the empires that had tried to conquer Earth. Each ship was a work of art, combining stolen technology with human innovation. "How many ships are we activating?" Walker asked. "All of them." Reed's answer made the room go quiet. "The Council thinks it's time. We've hidden long enough, built up our strength. These harvesters need to learn why the Dark Zone is feared." Walker nodded and pressed his hand against the command console. His neural implants connected with the system, sending activation codes to the hidden shipyards scattered across human space. In artificial nebulas and hollow asteroids, massive ships began powering up their cores. "Sir," Anna called out, her voice excited. "The Ghost Fleet reports ready. All 500 ships are online and awaiting orders." The display changed to show the fleet. Each ship was different, designed to be unpredictable. Some were small and fast. Others were huge battleships that could split into smaller vessels. Many of them didn't even look like ships, appearing more like pieces of space debris until they activated their weapons. "Remember your history, Captain," Reed said quietly. 300 years ago, 3 empires thought they could take Earth. They had bigger fleets, better technology, thousands of years of space warfare experience. He smiled. But they didn't understand humans. They thought we would fight like them, follow their rules of war. Instead, we survived, adapted, and took their technology for ourselves. Walker looked at the tactical display one last time. The harvesters were expanding rapidly, consuming everything in their path. They were efficient, unstoppable, against normal opposition, but they had never faced humans before. "Send word to the fleet," Walker ordered. "Tell them to prepare for Operation Nightmare. It's time to remind the galaxy why they fear the Dark Zone." As the orders went out, the Ghost Fleet began to move. Ships emerged from their hiding places, their stealth systems making them look like shadows among the stars. Humanity's isolation was ending, and they were coming out with their full strength. The harvesters were about to learn that perfect logic was no match for human creativity. The deadliest fleet in the galaxy was awakening, and the rules of war were about to change. The Ghost Fleet moved through space like a swarm of deadly shadows. On the bridge of the flagship Nightmare, Captain Walker watched as his crew prepared for their first real battle in 3 centuries. The massive view screen showed hundreds of ships emerging from their hidden docks, each one a different nightmare waiting to be unleashed. "Status report," Walker commanded, his voice steady despite the excitement building in his chest. "All ships reporting ready, sir," Lieutenant Anna responded. Her hands moved across the holographic controls, bringing up status displays from across the fleet. The Steel Fang Squadron has activated their phasing technology. Shadow Wing Squadron reports their quantum drives are charged. The Trickster Squadron's mirror systems are online. Walker smiled as he remembered the histories of each technology. The phasing systems had been stolen from the Empire of Light during their failed invasion of Earth. The quantum drives were reverse-engineered from quantum collective wreckage. And the mirror systems, those were purely human innovation, designed to make ships appear where they weren't. Begin Operation Nightmare. Phase 1. Admiral Reed's voice came through the command channel. Show them why the Dark Zone earned its reputation. The fleet split into 3 groups, each using different tactical approaches. Walker's group, led by the Nightmare, would be the first to make contact, but not in the way the Harvesters would expect. Launch the Ghost drones, Walker ordered. From the belly of each ship, small unmanned vessels poured out like a metallic rain. These weren't normal drones. They were designed to confuse and terrify even machine intelligences. Each one broadcast different sensor readings, making a single ship look like a fleet, or a fleet look like space debris. "Sir," Anna called out, "we're picking up Harvester activity at the edge of the Astra border. They're ships. They're beautiful in a terrifying way." The view screen showed the Harvester fleet. Massive ships that looked like mechanical insects, moving in perfect geometric patterns. Their hulls shifted and changed as they analyzed their surroundings, ready to adapt to any threat. Beautiful, yes, Walker agreed, but predictable. They follow patterns, logical sequences. That's why they'll lose. He pressed a button on his command chair, opening a channel to all ships. This is Captain Walker. For 300 years, humanity has prepared for this moment. We've hidden in the Dark Zone, letting the galaxy think we're monsters. Today, we show them they were right, but we're monsters with a purpose. The fleet moved forward, but not in any formation the galaxy had ever seen. Some ships flew backward, their engines facing the enemy. Others spun like tops, their weapon systems creating spirals of energy. A few ships simply vanished, using technology that bent light around them. The Harvesters are responding, Anna reported. They're confused. Their attack patterns are becoming erratic. That was exactly what Walker had hoped for. The Harvesters were machines. They learned by analyzing patterns. But how could they analyze something that refused to follow any pattern at all? Begin transmission of the Chaos protocols, Walker commanded. His neural implants connected directly with the ship's AI, feeding it random numbers and impossible equations. The whole fleet began broadcasting nonsense data, mathematical problems that had no solution. On the view screen, the first Harvester ships began to show signs of confusion. Their perfect formations wavered as their systems tried to process the illogical behavior of the human fleet. "Sir," Anna's voice was filled with wonder. "It's working. The Harvesters, they're trying to adapt, but they can't predict what we'll do next because we don't know ourselves." Walker stood up, watching as his fleet danced through space in ways that defied all military logic. The Harvesters were about to learn the hard way. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one with the biggest guns, but the one who refuses to play by the rules. "Send word to Admiral Reed," he ordered. "Phase 1 is successful. The Ghost Fleet is awake, and we're ready to show the galaxy why they were right to fear us." First Speaker Marina stood frozen at her command center as the impossible unfolded before her. The Harvester fleet that had been destroying their outer worlds had suddenly stopped advancing. Their perfect formation was breaking apart, their ships moving in confused patterns. "First Speaker," Commander Ray called out, his voice shaking with excitement. "We're detecting new ships entering the system. They're like nothing we've ever seen before." The main display showed vessels that seemed to defy reality itself. Some appeared to be moving backward through space. Others were splitting apart and reforming like liquid metal. Many of them didn't even look like proper ships. They appeared more like pieces of abstract art drifting through the void. "These are our saviors," Marina whispered. "The beings from the Dark Zone." Her question was answered as a communication request flashed on their screens. With trembling fingers, she accepted the call. The image that appeared shocked everyone in the room. A human face, belonging to Captain Walker. "This is Captain James Walker of the Earth Defense Fleet," he said simply. "We received your distress call. Sorry we took the scenic route, but we wanted to make an entrance." The Astra in the command center stared in disbelief. They had expected godlike beings, energy creatures, or at least advanced machines. Instead, they saw what looked like ordinary biological creatures, not so different from themselves. "You're human?" Marina managed to ask. Walker smiled, disappointed. "Don't be. We find being underestimated is one of our greatest advantages." He turned to look at something off-screen. "Speaking of which, Lieutenant, show our hosts what Phase 2 looks like." The view changed to show the space battle. The human ships were not engaging the harvesters directly. Instead, they were performing what looked like an elaborate dance. Ships would appear to be in one place, only to be illusions. Others would split into smaller vessels, each one broadcasting different signals that made no sense. "I don't understand," Commander Ray said. "You're not attacking them." "Oh, but we are," Walker replied. "Just not in the way you expect. You see, we studied the harvester signals you sent us. They're machines that learn through patterns, so we're giving them patterns that will drive them mad." As if to prove his point, several harvester ships suddenly began firing at empty space, their targeting systems confused by the chaos of conflicting data. Others started to move in circles, their adaptive algorithms overwhelmed by the illogical behavior of the human fleet. "Impossible," one of the Astra scientists whispered. "Their ships aren't even in proper combat formation. They're violating every principle of space warfare." "Exactly," Walker said with a grin. "That's humanity's greatest strength. We don't follow principles. We break them. We had 3 empires try to conquer Earth centuries ago. Each one thought they knew how war worked. Each one died because they couldn't understand that humans don't fight fair." Marina watched as more harvester ships began to malfunction. The human vessels were broadcasting mathematical paradoxes, time loop data, and sensor readings that contradicted themselves. The machine intelligence of the harvesters couldn't process information that didn't follow logical rules. "Your people," she said slowly, "you chose to isolate yourselves in the dark zone, not because you were weak, but because it let us prepare," Walker finished. "We built our fleet, developed our technologies, and waited for the day someone would need our help. The galaxy feared the dark zone because they didn't understand what was in it, and fear of the unknown." He smiled again. "Well, that works on machines too." On the display, the Ghost Fleet continued its impossible maneuvers, proving that the deadliest force in the galaxy wasn't the one with the most powerful weapons. It was the one that could make its enemies defeat themselves. The space around the Astra homeworld erupted in chaos as the Ghost Fleet launched their main attack. Captain Walker stood on the bridge of the Nightmare, watching as his carefully planned strategy unfolded. This wasn't just a battle. It was psychological warfare against machines. "Launch Operation Mirror Maze," he ordered. Lieutenant Anna's fingers danced across her console. "Deploying quantum mirrors now, sir. The Trickster Squadron is in position." Across the battlefield, hundreds of holographic projectors activated simultaneously. Suddenly, there weren't just hundreds of human ships. There appeared to be thousands. Each projection was carefully designed to give off real sensor readings, heat signatures, and energy patterns. "The harvesters are responding," Anna reported. They're trying to shoot everything. They can't tell which ships are real and which aren't." Walker smiled. The machine race had relied too heavily on their ability to analyze and adapt. But how could they adapt when they couldn't trust their own sensors? "Begin Phase 2, he commanded. "Tell the Steel Fang Squadron to activate their phase drives." On the main screen, 30 human ships suddenly flickered and vanished. They reappeared inside the harvester formation, their hulls partially phased into the 4th dimension. The harvester ships try to adapt, but their weapons passed harmlessly through the partially phased vessels. "Sir," Anna called out, excitement in her voice, "the harvesters are starting to fire on each other. Their targeting systems are completely confused." The machine race's perfect formation had dissolved into chaos. Some ships were chasing holograms, others were shooting at their own allies, and still others had frozen in place as their logic circuits tried to process the impossible data they were receiving. Admiral Reed's voice came through the command channel. "Report from the Shadow Wing Squadron, Captain. They've successfully infected the Harvester command network with our chaos algorithms." Walker watched as the infection spread through the enemy fleet. The chaos algorithms were perhaps humanity's most devious weapon, programs designed to make machines question their own logic. They posed questions that had no answers, created paradoxes that couldn't be resolved, and forced the machines to try to understand human unpredictability. "Look at their formations," Walker pointed out to his crew. "They're trying to adapt to our tactics, but we don't have any tactics. Each of our ships is doing something different, something random. They can't find a pattern because there isn't one." The Astra Federation observers were sending amazed messages. They had never seen warfare like this. The humans weren't just fighting. They were turning the Harvester's greatest strength into their greatest weakness. "New signal from the enemy fleet," Anna announced. "The Harvesters are trying to communicate with us." "Put it on screen," Walker ordered. The message was simple, transmitted in basic code. "YNOPATTRN. YNOLGJ. Explain." Walker laughed. "Send them our response." Anna transmitted the carefully prepared message, a collection of human jokes, riddles without answers, and paradoxical statements. The effect on the Harvester fleet was immediate. More ships began to malfunction as they tried to understand concepts that their logical minds couldn't process. "Sir," Anna reported, "the enemy fleet is retreating. They're actually running away." The bridge crew cheered, but Walker raised his hand for silence. "They'll be back," he said quietly. "But now they know. The Dark Zone isn't just a place to be feared. It's a reminder that not everything in the universe follows their rules." The Ghost Fleet regrouped, their impossible ships moving in a dance that defied all military doctrine. They had won this battle not with superior firepower, but by being what humans had always been: unpredictable, irrational, and impossible to calculate. The legend of the Dark Zone was about to change. Now it would be known as the place where machines learn to fear the chaos of human creativity. First Speaker Marina walked through the corridors of the human flagship Nightmare, her silver skin reflecting the soft blue lighting. Captain Walker had invited her to observe their operations directly, and what she saw changed everything she thought she knew about warfare. "This isn't just a command center," Walker explained as they entered the bridge. "It's a learning center. Every battle teaches us something new." The main bridge was unlike anything in the Astra fleet. Instead of organized stations in neat rows, the human crew worked at seemingly random positions. Some stood, others sat cross-legged on the floor, and a few even worked while walking in circles. "Lieutenant Anna," Walker called out, "show our guest what we learned from the last engagement." The young officer nodded and brought up a holographic display. It showed hundreds of data streams flowing from every ship in the Ghost Fleet. "Every vessel in our fleet is conducting its own experiments," she explained. "We're not just fighting the Harvesters, we're studying them." Marina watched in amazement as the data streams merged into a complex pattern. "You're gathering intelligence during battle." "Better than that," Walker smiled. "We're evolving. Each ship tries different tactics, different patterns, different ways of confusing the enemy. Whatever works best gets shared with the fleet instantly." The display showed a Harvester ship attempting to adapt to human tactics, but as soon as it thought it had found a pattern, the human ships would change their behavior completely. "Watch this," Anna said excitedly. She highlighted one of the Ghost Fleet's smaller ships. This vessel discovered that the Harvesters take exactly 3.7 seconds to adapt to a new threat. "So now," The ship suddenly split into 3 parts, each part transforming into a different configuration every 3.6 seconds. The harvester vessel trying to target it began to show signs of system failure as it attempted to adapt to changes that came too quickly. "Brilliant," Marina whispered. "Your fleet isn't just a military force, it's a giant experiment." Walker nodded. "That's humanity's true weapon. Not our technology, not our ships, but our ability to learn and adapt faster than any machine. We're unpredictable because we choose to be." Each crew member is encouraged to try new things, to break patterns, to think in ways that machines can't understand. The main screen showed the ongoing battle. The Ghost Fleet had scattered into smaller groups, each one testing different approaches. Some ships were broadcasting random numbers that changed faster than the harvesters could process. Others were using quantum tunneling to appear in multiple places at once. "Look there," Anna pointed to a group of human ships that appeared to be dancing in space. Those crews discovered that moving in certain patterns creates feedback loops in the harvester's prediction software, so they're literally dancing to crash the enemy's computers. Marina watched as more harvester ships began to withdraw from the battle. Their perfect formations were now completely broken, their responses becoming more erratic with each passing moment. "You've done the impossible," she said. "You've made machines afraid." Walker shook his head. "Not afraid, confused. We showed them that their greatest strength, their logical, predictable nature, is actually their greatest weakness. Against an enemy that embraces chaos, perfect logic is useless." The bridge crew continued their work, each member adding to the collective knowledge of the fleet. They weren't just winning a battle, they were creating a new form of warfare that machines could never adapt to. "Remember," Walker said softly, "the dark zone isn't just our home. It's our philosophy. In darkness, patterns break down. Logic fails. And that's where humanity thrives, in the spaces between order and chaos." Marina finally understood. The humans hadn't just built the deadliest fleet in the galaxy. They had created something far more powerful, a way of fighting that turned unpredictability into an art form. The Great Hall of the Astra Federation was filled with representatives from 100 different worlds. 3 days had passed since the Harvester's retreat, and the galaxy was buzzing with news about the mysterious humans who had emerged from the Dark Zone. Captain Walker stood before the assembled aliens, his dress uniform sharp and neat. Behind him, a massive window showed the Ghost Fleet in orbit, their strange ships still moving in unpredictable patterns that made them seem alive. "The Harvesters have withdrawn completely from Astra space," he announced. "Our latest reports show them retreating to the far edges of the galaxy. They're still trying to understand what happened here." First Speaker Marina stepped forward, her silver skin gleaming under the hall's lights. "You didn't just defeat them, Captain. You changed them. Our long-range scans show the harvester ships behaving differently. They're hesitating, testing, almost like they're afraid to form their usual patterns." Walker smiled. "That was our real victory. We didn't just want to win a battle. We wanted to teach them a lesson. Sometimes the most perfect logic is understanding that not everything can be logical." The hall erupted in discussion as representatives tried to make sense of what they had witnessed. One of the older Astra scientists raised his hand to speak. "But why?" he asked. "Why did humanity hide in the Dark Zone for 3 centuries? With your power, you could have ruled the galaxy." "Because that's exactly what everyone expected us to do," Admiral Reed answered, stepping up beside Walker. "After we defeated the 3 empires that tried to conquer Earth, everyone thought we would become the new conquerors. Instead, we chose to watch and wait." Walker nodded. "We created the Dark Zone not to hide, but to learn. We studied every species, every technology, every way of thinking. We built our fleet not to rule, but to protect. And we waited for the day when someone would need our help badly enough to risk calling into the darkness." Marina turned to address her people. "The humans didn't just save us from the harvesters. They showed us a new way of thinking. Their strength isn't in their weapons or their ships. It's in their ability to be unpredictable, to learn, to change. And that's why we're here today, Walker continued. The Dark Zone is no longer needed. Humanity is ready to join the galactic community. But we have conditions. The hall grew quiet as Walker explained. We won't share our military technology. We won't reveal the secrets of the Ghost Fleet. What we will share is something more valuable. Our way of thinking. Our creativity. Our art. Our music. Our stories. Admiral Reed stepped forward. The galaxy feared the Dark Zone because they didn't understand what was in it. Now you know. We're not monsters or gods. We're just humans, creatures who learned that the greatest strength is the ability to surprise yourself. The assembled representatives began to nod in understanding. The humans hadn't just defeated a powerful enemy, they had shown the galaxy a new path forward. From this day forward, Walker declared, Earth will establish embassies, trade relations, and cultural exchanges. But we'll keep one small corner of space dark, a reminder that sometimes the unknown isn't something to fear. Sometimes it's something to learn from. As the assembly erupted in applause, Marina watched the Ghost Fleet through the window. The ships were still moving in their strange, beautiful patterns, like dancers in the void. They were no longer just weapons of war. They were symbols of a new age, where the power of unpredictability and creativity would help shape the galaxy's future. The legend of the Dark Zone was ending, but humanity's true legacy was just beginning. They had proved that in a universe of patterns and logic, sometimes the greatest power was the ability to break free and dance to your own rhythm.